Welcome everybody to Project You, Project Me, the FTG guide to self-belief and self-coaching. Why not come along and listen to people like you, people like me, leaving legacies for your future. And welcome everybody to Project You, Project Me. We're now hitting episode 25, I believe, which is fantastic. So where did this all start? Where's it all gone, in fact? But today, we've got a fantastic guest and someone who is actually working alongside me in my business or one of our businesses, and he is an ex-footballer. So we're going to look into how the transition from football again aligns to the military, because there's a lot of similarities, and we'll go down a few rabbit holes, I've got no doubt. But Ritchie Sutton, Suts, famous player, especially around that northwest area. I'm surely I've watched you quite a few times. Sure, I've seen you at Wembley as well. But if you'd been playing against me as a defender, you wouldn't have had no chance. But tell me a little bit about yourself, mate. You know, where you grew up, a bit of family stuff, that kind of that kind of area.
Everyone knows me as Suts. Over being in football, you always get a little nickname in football. So my name's Ritchie Sutton. 37 years old now. Been married for 10 years. Been with my wife for 16, and we've got four kids together, and very much the family man. So it's my life basically is pretty much football orientated from a very young age. Grew up in Stoke-on-Trent. Moved over to Crewe when I was about 4 or 5, due to my dad's work. Settled in Crewe nicely. Met some good people from a young age in reception, year 1 in primary school, and I've still got the same 2 best mates I've had for my whole life, really. So from what I remember from that age, my life's been in Crewe. But yeah, moving over from Stoke, my family, my dad, grandma, etc., were massive Port Vale fans. So everyone always still asks me, like, who do I support? Like, I'm thinking Man United, Arsenal, City, and I always like, I don't support anyone in the Premier League, which is very odd for someone who's been a professional footballer. But yeah, I'm Port Vale through and through, really.
Did you play for Port Vale?
Yeah, so it was I did when I was about 23. I got a move back into the Football League, so it's a bit of a story, really. So if I take you a little bit back of where my football journey started. So I started in the Crewe Alex Academy, which was one of the best academies, a Category A academy growing up. Played all the top teams, Man United, City, and beat a lot of them. Played against a lot of famous players that have done a hell of a lot better than me in the game, put it that way. But they're proper celebrities. And did an apprenticeship, did well there. My dad never really forced football. He loved football, but he was a very, very clever man. He never forced it. He was more of an education person, really. And even at a young age, he was always like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? You do realise that football's a very up and down career." And as a parent now, I could see what he was thinking, because I'd like my kids to have a happy life and a level life, and not one that's up and down. So I can see what he was thinking now. But ended up pursuing football, and did a scholarship at Crewe, and signed professional terms there when I was 18. And left when I was about 21. I had a bit of a tough time in that. When I signed pro, I fractured my back, and I had to take 12 months out of the game. Really, I had to have quite a huge operation where I had to have my back wired up. So I had a double stress fracture. Wow. So it was either get that done, or the surgeon said, or don't play football. So I love football, and I wanted to give it a go. So it was something that I did. And never looked back, really. But yeah, going back to your point before from playing to Vale. So yeah, when I left Crewe, it didn't work out when I was about 21, and then got exposed to the real world, really, because I'd always been in them football circles where you looked after, and you go in, you're playing football as your job. When you're in your scholarship and you're pro, you're getting paid for playing football. It's amazing. But then got told that I wasn't going to get offered a new contract, so ended up going to part-time level, and being the age I was, part-time level wasn't enough money to keep you going financially. So you had to look for other options to work wise. So yeah, I went and played with a few different options to earn some extra money, which is where I ended up signing for my local team, Nantwich Town. So the story is that we played a game against Port Vale in pre-season, as you do. The lower teams always play some of the higher teams pre-season, and playing against Port Vale, you can imagine how sort of up for it I was. It was my club. My dad was watching, my family and stuff, and it was something I was really ended up having an amazing game. Should have been sent off, mine, but I had an amazing game, and I got a call that evening from I'd already signed a contract with Nantwich at this point, but got a call for an evening from the goalkeeping coach at Port Vale, just asking if I signed a contract because the manager's really interested in you. And I was like, well, I have, yeah. And he was I was so deflated, and he was like, okay, well, never mind. And I was thinking, oh my God, I could have signed for my boyhood team, my family team. So I had to wait a whole 12 months then. This was always in my head that I could have played for Port Vale. So when I was playing for Nantwich for that season, my head was always like, I should be playing for Port Vale right now. So had a bit of a traumatic season in the sense that I got sent off 4 times in that season for immature, daft stuff, stupid challenges, as you do when you're younger. And I ended up having a 6-match ban for the net following season. Anyway, Port Vale did ring me up in that closed season, asked me to go in and have a look at me. So I went in for a couple of weeks. In the back of my head, I knew I had a 6-game ban for the following season. But I was never going to say anything. Maybe I don't know if you say it's the right thing or wrong thing. I was never going to say anything because I thought if they know I've got a 6-game ban, they're never going to sign me. So anyway, signed the contract. They were happy with me, wanted to sign me. Signed the contract at Port Vale, amazing. Until all the paperwork went through, and I get a call off the assistant manager saying the manager wants to see you tomorrow. I knew what it was about. And I went in, and he was, let's put it this way, he was not a happy bunny. That I didn't tell him, but I explained the reasons why, and he was brilliant to me. It was a guy called Mickey Adams. He was the Leicester manager at one point. He's a very old school, strong mentality, but he was one of them that if he liked you, if he saw something in you, he would look after you. And luckily, served me 6-game ban, and my football career just sort of blossomed from that, really.
Fantastic. It's great to hear about the family side and all that kind of stuff. I know I've met your wife, Rory. We've done some work together, and it was amazing to meet her. And clearly, I'll be seeing you in a few days as well, or a few weeks.
Yeah,
and maybe a Christmas shandy or two. But do you know what? I love talking to footballers because they've got loads of stories. And sometimes have stories about funny things that have happened during their career, that kind of stuff. I hear a lot. We spoke before that when I listened to podcasts about Gaza and stuff like that. That's all funny. But have you got any funny stories? Anything that anyone will relate to regarding anything to do with football? Any famous people? Like I'm not asking you to call them out or anything like that, but something that might have happened that's got a bit of a laugh.
I mean, yeah, there's this. I mean, yeah, you're putting me on the spot there, John, because I mean, there's a lot of things in football, as I'm sure there is in any industry, really. But there's a lot of things that I can't talk about, and but yeah, listen, I've had some of the most exciting stuff, even though, like we spoke about before, it's been so up and down. I mean, I've been released by clubs, I've been signed by, but I've had some really tough times in football, but I've also had some at amazing times. I mean, I played. I've had multiple promotions with teams that I've been at, which has been fantastic. I've played at Wembley twice. I mean, I'm not suppose it's a funny story, but the second time we played at Wembley, we got beat the year before in the playoff final. So this was at Tranmere Rovers.
Yeah.
This was a long season because obviously we should have gone up that year. Long season. Managed to get to the playoff final again, Wembley. So everyone's sort of like we're putting things right this time. 45 seconds into the game, I think it was, rush of blood from our left back. He gets a straight red card. And you're thinking, oh my God, we're down to 10 men after 45 seconds. So we're thinking this is not going to be our season again. And this is sort of the world of football, really. You never know what's going to happen. We ended up winning the game 2-1, and it was one of the best footballing days of my career, because of just being underdogs after losing a man down after 45 seconds, and then the character that the boys showed. And I mean, I'm sure other industries thinking, but there's nothing like a football dressing room with the camaraderie and the team spirit and stuff. It's something that that'll stay with me throughout my life and throughout what I do going forward. And
What happened to the guy that got sent off? Was
he was in tears. He was in tears, as you can imagine, because you feel like you've let everyone down, don't you? And we've all been there. We've all done it. We've all had rushes of blood and stuff. And there's an old thing in football, like, where managers are like, I think the game's changed a little bit now, but hit them hard first minute and they won't come back, kind of thing. So he may or may not have had that in his head. You can't pull out of a 50-50 challenge in the first minute because it sets the tone for the game. Unfortunately for him, he's misjudged it and he's off. And it's an awful moment, because I can imagine people's families are there, their kids, and it's horrible. It's almost as if it hasn't happened. I've been there myself before, and it's like a surreal moment. But with anything in life, you look back and you smile and you laugh, and it was a good time. But going off, I was thinking when you mentioned about funny stuff. I mean, something that happened to me that some of the lads I play with now, still when I speak to them on the phone, they still laugh at it. And so basically, I was playing for Morecambe at the time. We'd been on our Christmas do in Dublin for sort of a 3-day booze session. Don't ask how or why or any details, but I ended up coming back with a fractured hand, and we couldn't tell the manager what had sort of happened. So I'm basically just wearing sort of something around my hand for 3 days in training, covering it up. But I knew I had a broken hand. I got a scan. I got a fracture in my hand. I was in agony. But we were playing the managers. He was a fairly new manager, a guy called Derek Adams. He'd been the Plymouth manager for years, and we had Plymouth on the Saturday. Lads are still, obviously, because we've been on a 3-day drinking session, still a little bit groggy throughout the week. And but for me, from a personal level, like I played the game, broken hand anyway. And about the 30th minute, the ball went over the top. A lad beat me. He was quicker than me, beat me to it, and I got sent off. Manager was fuming with the circumstances. It was his ex-team, Plymouth, and we ended up losing the game, I think 3 or 4-0. Blame was on me for getting sent off. So after the game, I thought, I'm not staying around here in the dressing room. I'm getting on the bus. I'm getting on there and putting my head down, kind of thing. So when we get food after the game, you get like pizzas, takeaways, fish and chips or whatever. So I got on the bus, big box of fish and chips, just took some fish and chips and go and sat in the corner somewhere. Everyone else gradually comes on. Anyway, little did I know that the manager is very, very particular. He only eats haddock. So yeah, for some reason, he only eats haddock. So they specially ordered a meal for him on his own. Everyone else had cod and chips or sausage and chips. The look of the day for me, like, is I only go and pick his haddock out of the box, don't I? The assistant manager comes down saying, "Where's the gaffer's haddock? Who's got the gadget?" And I'm sat there thinking, I not only have been sent off, cost the boys the game. The manager's fuming because he was an ex-team, and I don't know. We had a long trip, 5-hour trip home, and I'd ate the manager's dinner. So you can imagine I wasn't the most popular man on the bus then. But lads in football, this is what makes it even worse. Lads in football have no sympathy. They were shouting things down the bus, winding the situation up to the manager, and you can just see his blood boiling. And I just wanted to disappear. But yeah, it wasn't a great day in my career.
Yeah. Them kind of stories make me laugh. I played a lot of football in the military, and got up to all kinds of dodgy things, as you can imagine. But going back to your other point, tackling, putting the first tackle in kind of sets the tone for the game. I think I'm a great tackler, but there's no way that I would be in a 50-50. There's more chance of me being in a 90-10. Even if it was 50-50, it's a 90-10. I'm not going anywhere near it.
I was
Yeah.
always taught by my dad that if you're on the floor and you're going in for tackles, then you're not going to win any football games because you're going to be
Yeah.
on. So that mindset I carried through with me for my whole career and my whole footballing career. And people used to pull me up about it all the time. But ultimately, I never ever got injured in my life.
No,
But
it's a tough one. It's a tough one, that is, because I mean, the level that I'm playing at now, and I've played at for the last few years. I mean, when you're full time and it's everything, it's your livelihood, and it's you get paid. You've got to put your heart on the line, because if you get paid, you're on contracts and you're on decent money, and if you don't show that you're fully committed, then you're out the door anyway. So you've got to sort of with them things. But I do sympathise that over the last few years with part-time level, if you don't play, so say you're injured, you don't get paid. So if you're going to got that tackle that you're going to go in it, and you could break your leg in that tackle, which is quite easily done, or you could get seriously injured, you might be thinking possibly I could be out for 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, whatever it is, and I've lost all that money. So it's difficult finding a balance at the level you're at, and going back to sort of our industry as well, is that with I know lads that if they're injured at football and they've got manual jobs, they can't go to work and they don't get paid. So it's a very, very tricky situation.
Yeah, I can understand that. Actually, it's probably worth a lot of those people having a word with you, because a lot of the stuff that you're now dealing with, which I think we best go into, because we've just spent 20 minutes on our footballing lives.
So when we talk about football, you get carried away, don't you?
Absolutely. But let's go into a little bit of this transitional piece. So, footballer, military person. Let's just say you've been around for 25 years in football. I was in the military 20 odd years as well. So realistically, we both joined young and had relatively successful careers. But then all of a sudden, one day, that career's gone. Now, the military do put things in place. The feeling that I get, though, and I had, and the kind of feels, what I see now is that nobody really ever looks to the future, though. So yes, they can do courses, they can do this, they can do that, but you're in your in your military career. So actually, you're very insular. I'm not looking outside. I'll be in this forever is kind of the mindset. Clearly, it never ever is going to be that. So that must be the same for a footballer. What things were in place within the clubs you went to make sure that you understood that one day you were going to leave that sport? Or what qualifications could you do? Was there some kind of process along that way that enhanced your future?
Yeah. So I think in that, well, when you're young, from the age, if you'd have asked me when I was 12, I remember having a conversation. When I was 12, 13, 14, there was never a doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to be a millionaire and play in the Premier League. Not one single doubt. And it was only when you sort of get exposed to real sort of how the game really is. And like I talked about before, when you leave the game and you realize how much people have to graft and how hard it is sometimes to in the real world. And because my dad was always very much, yes, you do your football and you give it a good go, but from a young age he was always like, education is key, and that always stayed with me. And I always took, so you're looked after in football by the PFA, the Professional Football Association. Once you're in that, you're in it for life. So any help that you need, whether it's education, whether it's courses you want to take, coaching, mental health support, pathways, your pension scheme, it's all looked after. But I think for me there, it's education is key, because I've known so many players that you've played with, and they'll go home and they'll go on the Xbox for 6 hours because they've done the training. They don't think long term, and that's the difficulty. I never had that personally, because I myself because of my dad, and so just sort of the way I was. Even when I was a full-time footballer earning half decent money, I still took a degree because it was I wanted to take advantage of the services that the PFA put on. So you could do a degree that they paid 50% of the fees for you. For me, that was fantastic, but it's getting people to understand that, because like you did say that, yeah, you think you're going to be a footballer forever, and a lot of people, even at the age of 20, in their 20s, had that mentality that I did when I was 12, 13, that I'll be fine, I'm going to play in the Prem, I'm going to earn millions. And it's not till when you come out of the game, it's not too late, it's never too late, but you should have things in place. You should take advantage of the services and the things that the PFA offer whilst you've got the time, because you're training, when you're football full time, you're training from 10 till 2 o'clock. I mean, if I told you that your days are 10 till 2 o'clock, you'd be rubbing your hands together, wouldn't you? Like, yeah, brilliant. So it's getting people to take advantage of that time that they have got, because when you are in the real world, you don't have that time. You're working full time. When you're older, you've got kids, you've got mortgage, you've got pressure to pay bills. You have a partner. There's so many other pressures. So, yeah, going back to what you originally spoke to, I think just the education's key, a massive thing to me. And if I could help anyone, it would be like getting through to them is get yourself educated
as early as possible. This is one of the things that I'm trying to kind of prove, if you like, with the military, to say something you mentioned there was it was installed in you at an early age.
Yeah.
So let's just say a military person joins at 16 or 17. For me, that's the perfect time to say, right, one day you're going to leave. So we need to start looking at your education. We need to look at your further education. We need to look at what you might be starting to align yourself, even if it's 20 years down the line. And doing your degrees, doing that enhanced learning is absolutely what people should be doing. Yet in the military, some do it, but the majority don't bother. And that's what really happens at the end, when nobody's got any qualifications or they're trying to swamp everything in at once. We don't really understand what the qualification is, for one. We don't also understand how we're supposed to go into business, because we've never really educated ourselves. And that's I think that's a really important piece there to anyone that's listening, to say, listen, if you're sitting here now and you've got 5 years to go, or 10 years, or even 2 years, that education is going to be key for moving forward, and not just to do it as a place filler towards the end. But in the military, if we look at a stereotypical military career, at some point you decide you're coming to the end, and you generally get about 12 months to leave. And then all of a sudden you hit a curve. The curve starts in the first week because you've been in the military with a euphoria moment, champagne. Oh, it's really exciting. But then you hit a downward spiral. What was it like for you when you left? Did you get the choice that you were going to leave in 12 months, or did someone just say there's no contract and you're past it?
my legs give up on me, and that was what it was. No, I think there's I think the older you get in football, I mean,
did you feel it coming?
No? It's not like it was a difficult time, but I was prepared. I mean, my wife always laughs at this, but coming to contract time with football, because I only ever signed 1 or 2 year contracts. It's not like these 5-year contracts that you hear about on TV and stuff. It was only ever like 1 or 2 year contracts. Anytime my contract was up for negotiation, the world was ending. She was like, I wouldn't even want to sit in a room with you when your contract was up, because you were a nightmare. So because I was always like, it could end at any moment in time, I'd done those things out of fear, like, my doing a degree or doing my coaching badges or learning something. I did. I mean, fear is not a good thing, no, but doing those things it was the fear of having nothing if it did end tomorrow, and having nothing to fall back on, which motivated me, which was good. But coming to the end of my full-time career, so the last full-time club I was at was Morecambe, and it wasn't because of that eating his fish story. It was that I got released. But it was that season is it was when COVID sort of hit. So then when my contract ran out and things would start coming back on the up and people were allowed to start training again, my contract had run out. So the manager was saying, we're not going to renew your contract. And that was when I sort of went to Altrincham Football Club. I knew the manager there, and they were paying me good enough money. So it wasn't like, it was part-time, but it was good enough to survive on, which allowed me to then just really knuckle down and think, right, full-time football is done for me now. I'm 34 and I'm going to use this part-time money and the part-time hours to then look at my future. And that's where it's sort of, I would say I'd mentally prepared to never go back to full-time football at that period in time, which when you come out of football, I mean, my degree is in sports journalism and broadcasting, and I took it because I wanted to learn something, but I've never used it since, because the older I've got and life took me down certain pathways, it wasn't a passion of mine, and it's a big belief of mine that if I'm going to do something, I want it. I don't want to just turn up for work because I'm getting a wage. I want to be passionate about it, and I want to get up and do that job every day.
Yeah, which is the same for military people, really. You don't join the military for money. You join the military because you want to be a soldier or an airman or in the Navy or something like that. Of course, when it comes to leave, that ethos probably is still with you. So you want to, I speak to many service leavers, every single day, and their motto really is they want to be happy. And they want to go to work, though, and not actually struggle to get up, which is really, they've gone through a whole piece like you, slightly different because the contract's full. But when you get to the end, you've got this kind of, I want to do something that inspires me to get out of bed in the morning. And that's really the secret to doing all that education before, but also understanding whereabouts it could really be when you actually do leave sport or the military. Because if you never think about it, who knows where it's going to be? And that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
So, you doing your degree in sport, journalism, and things like that, it seems that really we should be doing degrees in something that we believe maybe we'll do in the future.
Yeah.
Because it might have been an easier transition. But going on to that transition, how are you feeling now? Because you have transitioned. And, how does that feel now not to be a footballer?
Yes. Well, I've still got that sort of. I'm still playing part time, so I'm at a decent club that things are done right. So I've still got that football fix. It's not going to last forever. I know that, but I've still got that football fix on a Saturday afternoon. I can go and do what I've been doing my whole life, which is brilliant for the week, because I know that I've got that on Saturday that gives me that. But yeah, I'm completely refocused and sort of. Like since I was playing football, I've got children now. I've been married for 10 years. I've got a mortgage and that sort of thing. My priorities in life have completely changed, and I want to try and put some building blocks in place to set myself up for the next 20, 30 years. And I have played with certain industries. I mean, I went into sort of football coaching, which is what I love. But I think a thing for me is that I went through a period where I put everything else first, as opposed to sort of my happiness and my family. Where if this situation, I'll make it clear. So I was working full time in the days. I got 3 young children at home. I was out the house Monday, Wednesday coaching, out the house Tuesday, Thursday evening training, out the house all day Saturday playing football, all day Sunday coaching. I got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? Because my kids are only young once, and as much as you've got to sacrifice and I'm motivated because that's what I want to do, I felt like I was doing it for the right reason, but it wasn't making me and my family happy. So that's when I sort of had sort of a moment where we need to reset and find balance, because I think balance is the key to anything in life. Is that if you find the right balance and you're happy, then that'll naturally motivate you, and you'll do well whatever you do.
Yeah. So you're in a new growth spurt, if you like, moving into something new.
Yeah.
Which is what? What have you moved into now? Did you really see yourself in this game? What's your job now?
Yeah, so I'm a protection specialist at Insure Life Group. So I basically deal with clients, getting them protection. So whether that be life insurance, income protection, serious illness protection. So I'm basically in the process. It's fairly new to me. It's a new industry. I've been roughly 6 months-ish, always learning. But every day, like I say, that sort of always learning every day, making mistakes, but then improving next time, and going out and talking to people, rekindling friendships that I've had over the years by looking after their families and things like that. So it's a really rewarding job in that way. So I feel like I've felt something that, going back to my point before, is that I'm working this job, this role is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm working it around my lifestyle, and I'm helping other families. And I think with the industry that I'm in, I've had insurance since I got my mortgage, so roughly about, say, 8 to 10 years. I was not educated when I took it. I was given a policy, and this is the price, this is what you get. There you go. And what I enjoy doing is that a lot of people that I speak to, and they don't know what they're covered for. And it's like looking into them. I take it personally, especially if it's people that I know or have had friendships and relationships over the years. I want to make sure that you're protected properly, and that if you ever did need to make a claim, which I hope you don't, that your family's covered. And that's sort of like the buzz that I get out for it. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times where people have excuses like they do, or we've got insurance, or we're too busy and stuff. But when you do manage to meet them people that understand where you're coming from, and want the help, and you manage to help them, it's sort of a fantastic feeling inside, and get great job satisfaction from it.
Yeah, I love that. And it seems that you're planning to recreate the Ritchie Sutton in sport into organization, into business, into your future. And I know you've got a few other plans of places that you would like to kind of enhance in sport. What kind of stuff are you looking to kind of move forward into as well?
Yeah, so I've met a lot of obviously I've played football for a very long time, made some great friends, a lot of, I don't even want to think of the thousands of teammates I've played with. I mean, I've had 17 or 18 different clubs myself, so you can imagine how many players I've played with. So yeah, it's about just sort of reconnecting with these people, and using my network, and making sure that these people are looked after. And I think, going back to the start of what we spoke about from my dad with the education side of it, is if anything, if I spend an hour with someone, if they come away with anything, they're clear and they're educated. Because there's a lot of things out there, like with my original policy that I had, I didn't have a clue, and it turned out that it was rubbish, and I didn't have a clue because I wasn't educated. So it's about reconnecting with all these people, and yeah, hopefully looking after them in a positive way, because I mean, family is the most important thing in life. So if it's people tend to, for some reason, people tend to cut corners when it comes to life insurance, and when it comes to serious illness or income protection. But it really is the most important thing in the world. Your family is the most important thing in the world. So why would you not protect them as you would anything? You don't insure a car hoping that you get have a car crash. So, but you always have car insurance, because you insure your life because it's there if anything was to happen. And it's about having them conversation with people, and hopefully just educate them to giving them the information to make informed decisions.
Yeah, 100%. I had a poor policy for 22 years. I've now got 5 policies. So, clearly I started to understand what it is with the business that I started in, that kind of stuff. But I do see it as very important, no matter what happens in your family or to somebody in your family. If it goes wrong, then having that financial security is an absolute necessity, because there's nothing worse than being financially downgraded or losing your house because something bad's happened in someone's life.
Yeah,
and
that's probably sorry, John, that's probably the frustration in the job. As rewarding as it can be, it's the frustration can be, is that you want to make sure that these people are looked after. And some people interpret it as like, oh, well, what are you after? What are you getting out of this kind of attitude? And it's not, it really isn't like that. There's a lot of clients that I've had and colleagues of mine have had where you spend hours with them and they could come to the end, which they had in the past, and like, okay, I've got the information, it's just not for me. And it'll always disappoint, but you know that you've educated them as good as they can and you've advised them, and that's more than selling the product. It's more advising them and hoping that, not see sense, but hoping they make a good decision.
Yeah, I suppose that's, that mentality runs through the business, doesn't it? Because only yesterday we were winning the Premier Advisors of the Year's awards and things like that at big shows in London. So, we can see why people would buy into it. Because if you are being looked after properly, you'll feel that.
Yeah.
People are coming and trying to sell your product, are walking away after 20 minutes. It's probably not where you want to be. Who, just before we go on to the Golden Nuggets, who's the most famous player you've played with or against?
So growing up, I mean, I under 15, 16 level. So he was, I think he's a slightly older than me, but Wayne Rooney, I played against Wayne Rooney quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because he was at Everton as a kid, and under 14s, 15s, 16s, he was you always remember him. I mean, you never really thought of the name, but word got around the changing rooms because he was looked after from a very, very young age. And everyone, these stories you hear, you're like, oh, Everton have brought his mum and dad a house and all this sort of stuff. And like, he must be good then. And he was good. I mean, for my memory, he was just like, I mean, you've obviously seen him in his younger days. He was a very sort of driven, sort of vicious character, and he was determined, like no one was going to get the better of him. So I think that's why he's been so successful, because he just had that grit between his teeth, even from a young age, where kids are kids, aren't they? Where you go out and play football, but he sort of had that sort of, it was more than football to him. So yeah, it was. And in my sort of adult career, I'd say I've played against the bigger names when I've been in pre-season friendlies, because when I was at Tranmere, we played against Liverpool. At Tranmere as well, we managed to get through to the third round of the FA Cup, where we played against Tottenham, and played against Man United the game after. The season after. Got beat 7-0, like, but we've played against them. But I was injured for that game, so yeah, that's why they got beat 7-0. Yeah. But yeah, pre-season games. I mean, played against Liverpool, so Firmino.
All right, cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of Liverpool players. Trent Alexander. Just trying to think off the top of my head. Jordan Henderson, them type of people. But yeah, them clubs. They were when they played against star or bigger players. When I was at Mansfield as well, we played against Liverpool in the FA Cup. Only lost 2-1, but Luis Suarez played that game. So some big names, really.
Yeah, I think my call out to all those players is, when you've, looking back and played against Ritchie Sutton, and you're trying to forge a new career and things, would always be nice for them to give you a call and say, do you want to sort out my family for his mate? So that's a big call out to Wayne Rooney and Jordan Henderson if they want to give you a quick call, pal.
Yeah, that'd be the dream. That'd be the dream.
So just to finish, we always finish with the 3 golden nuggets of transition. Actually, the 3 things that you would do that would help you leave successfully. Now, there's probably hundreds, but what are your top 3, Ritchie?
Yeah, so I think on this, the 3 that I've sort of touched upon is I've already spoke, really, as to, from transition, I think it's majorly important that you find something that you're passionate about. So for my advice for going forward, if you're leaving the military or leaving a sports career, is try and sort of prepare yourself, but find something that you're passionate about. Because although I educated myself over the years and did a lot of things, I did a lot of things that have helped, but I've also done I'll do a lot of things different. Like I've used that energy and that money into other aspects. But so my advice on there was to find something you're passionate about, and try and apply the same fundamentals as you would in the army or in your footballing career, which they don't change in life really, with hard work, enjoying every day, and give it your all. Because I'm a big believer, if you give everything your all and it doesn't work out, then you can sleep at night, can't you? And yeah. Second one that I sort of thought about is slightly linked, is sort of don't be afraid to fail, really. I mean, there's a lot of areas in my life where I've gone into, like, when I've been nervous, anxious. I think putting yourself in difficult situations makes you stronger and makes you grow into a better person. So don't avoid doing something out of the fear of failure, and go into it, give it a go, and yeah, try your best. So yeah, don't be afraid to fail, because if you don't try, then you'll never know, and you'll have more regrets doing that. And looking after yourself is probably my third one, is just in life, and whatever you do in sport or after sport, is look after yourself and look after your family. Like we spoke about before, is that sacrifice is amazing, and I'm a massive believer in sacrificing. I used to sacrifice a lot in my football career, with not going out on a Friday night and eating right and training properly and all that sort of stuff. But I sort of over sacrificed in what we spoke about with my work and being out of the house 4 nights a week, Saturdays, Sundays. That was not good. So I think sacrifice, yes, but it's important that sort of have your goal and make sure you're happy in whatever you're doing, because if you're not happy, then you probably won't achieve that goal. So Adam, my director, gave me some good advice on that sort of stuff. He was like, listen, if you need to go to the gym for 3 hours every day to get you into in a mental state and a frame that's going to get you ready for the day that you're going to sort of succeed, you do that. Because if you're not in that right mental state, then you're not going to succeed anyway. So find the things that get you ticking, whether that's your family, fitness, health, nutrition, whatever it is. Find something that gets you motivated and get that in order, and then the rest of the things will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So I hope that's 3. I don't know if I feel like I've just said about 7 there, John.
I've got them written down. I like the last one, you know, the sacrifice, because military ethos is military first, family close second. It's actually written down in policy, so you can see why a lot of people would have problems serving in the military. But basically what you said to me there was your preparation and having passion for that is important, to create an ethos that has no fear, that in the end looks after yourself, which is a fantastic way to kind of end the podcast, with 3 amazing golden nuggets for anybody that's listening, which I'm sure will resonate, whether it's sport or whether it's people who are leaving the military, because I think those 3 things are very poignant in every single person's life who is coming to the end of something and in transition.
Yeah, but definitely.
That's a great 50 minutes. It's gone pretty fast. We'll finish it there, but all that's left to say, Ritchie, is, you know, thank you very much for your time. I know you're busy. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you for these 50 minutes, and I'm sure some of the wise words that you've passed on and some of the past that you've kind of gone through and how you felt will be of great help for everybody. But thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon, my friend.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you, John.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Project You, Project Me. Thanks for listening in. But remember, we have a Project You, Project Me guide to self-coaching, to self-belief, and it can all be downloaded on our website. We also do the 5 fundamentals: CVs, professional writing. We do brand, we do CPD, making sure you're going in the right direction. We're also looking at your elevation, giving you 2 times the chance to set up your interviews before your first actual interview. And also we look at your financial plan, massively important for your future, for you and your family. So why not come along? Have a look. What you got to lose? It's all free. Stay safe.